Hi, I'm Chris Carroll. I write the bookmarking blog for newsok.com's Books and Reading section, and we're here with Larry Johnson today. We're talking about his brand new book, Historic Photos of Oklahoma. This is actually the second book that Larry's done of historic photos. The first one was Historic Photos of Oklahoma City. And can you talk a little bit about the time period that this new book covers?
Yeah. It really covers from the early 1870s through probably I think the last one was 1968 or 9, something, I can't remember exactly, but up to, say, 1870 to 1970, about a 100-year period. So.
And how'd you go about doing your research to find these photographs?
Well, luckily I work with history a lot. I run the history room at the downtown library for the Metropolitan Library System, so I'm kind of around history all the time, and so I had a good context for a lot of the photos already. So, I didn't have to go through a lot of trying to determine what they were of and things like that. So I would do research in newspapers and contemporary accounts and things like that. I tried to make it more contemporaneous, where we would view the pictures and things the way the people who built them would see them and stuff like that. So it's a little different take. So.
Are there some photos in here that you think would surprise people, kind of turn around people's stereotypes about Oklahoma history?
I think there are. Yeah. I mean, I tried to do it like in a timeline fashion where you could see a lot of the changes that happened over time. There's one photo of, I don't remember the exact day, 1880s, 80 before the land run, maybe 82 or something like that, and it's a school run by the Seminole Nation, and it's maybe a dozen kids, but there's black, white, there's native Seminole children there, so you can really see the diversity that was here early, and how everyone cooperated and got along well from the beginning. I think that's something we don't always remember about ourselves. The other one is I've got a picture in there of the early logging industry in the Choctaw Country, and mainly we're known as a flat state with no trees by outsiders and things like that. But they, they found millions of acres of virgin forest here, and there's pictures in there of huge trees. Or people standing near them, and they're just dwarfed by these immense trees, And I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah.
That think of us as a forestry state. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of neat stuff in there.
Do you have any particular favorites of the photos that you've compiled in here?
My favorite actually is this picture of these bank robbers that had just been apprehended, and mainly because they look like Liam Neeson, Kevin Costner, and Ralph Waite from the Waltons. But they're just these really hard-looking desperados that have just been nabbed, and they look really got a lot of character in those in the pictures there. And I guess other than that, my favorite would be the dust storm that's just about to envelop a town called Hooker, Oklahoma, up near in the Panhandle, and we don't see a lot of video and pictures of the Dust Bowl, but this is a wide shot, and it's just maybe seconds before the town is just going to be, just not wiped out, but just covered in 5 miles of high cloud of dust.
Yeah,
so
that's an amazing
it's
picture.
incredible. Yeah.
There's some really neat stories behind the pictures. Like one of my favorites is the one of Geronimo's last buffalo hunt. Can you talk about that one a little bit?
Yeah, well, he was like a big national celebrity, but he'd been incarcerated at Fort Sill, and he was kind of the last of the great Apache warriors, and people would write to them and ask for autographed photos and write him letters and all that, and he'd really become kind of the celebrity. And they had a big convention of the National Editors Association or something like that, and they wanted him to be sort of a celebrity guest. So I never really found how he got a release, but they had a big buffalo hunt, like the last great buffalo hunt, and it was all these newspaper editors from around the country, and they brought him in to do a buffalo hunt. And one of the stories I found was that he actually shot it from the passenger seat of a car, which is, I guess it substitutes for a horse, but he did. And there's this the picture I have is the ceremonial first cut of the buffalo. So Yeah, and Theodore Roosevelt was just incensed. He tried to get the whole thing stopped because he's known for protecting our buffalo and for saving the last herd, first on the Capitol Mall and then later down in the Wichita Mountains. So it's got a pretty cool. There's just mounds of information behind each photo. So
well, it's such a cool collection. Both of your books are really neat. The the Book of Historic Photos of Oklahoma City is great too, and people can buy it at local bookstores and Barnes and Noble and Borders too.
And Full Circle and Best of Books in Edmond. It's pretty well covered.
Cool.
So,
well, thanks a lot for being here, buddy.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
All right.